both working, they both have to file their...
It's an additional tax form, so you're going to have your federal, state, local, so you're going to have to pay 1% on it.
If you're married filing joint, that 1% income goes with the combined...
Total household income, right.
Okay, so from my understanding is that the school board had said that what will happen in 2 or 3 years and you decide you need more money and this is not sufficient enough, they said they could turn around and they could ask for an operational levy on the property taxes, so it will never stop because none of those levies have fallen off, and then you have this that's forever, and where does it end?
Yeah, there's nothing to stop them from asking for a new levy if they do.
Exactly.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to talk about a few other things. Yes?
Yeah, for that 190 average valuation, what would that tax bill be?
Probably on 190,000, probably somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500. The problem is you have to look at all the taxes and the levies that are passed per city, municipality, and Wickliffe is the highest in Lake County.
Yes.
No, Wickliffe the highest. If you get into the Perry, Leroy, Madison, it's the lowest. Based on the levies that have been passed.
Did they get this succeed in a different school district that they're trying it?
Yeah, there's 200 school districts in Ohio that have income tax levies. They're all pretty small because if you look at it, it's only 5% of the local tax money they're getting. 95% is still from property taxes throughout the state for local tax money raised. But 200 schools have this type of levy. They're just not around here.
My experience with things like this, it starts at 1%, and then it's 2%, and then it's 3%, and it keeps going up, up, up.
Right.
That's the danger.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's the reality.
Thank you, yes.
The state of Ohio is supposed to be supporting the public schools, not each community, per the Ohio Constitution. What's going on with that?
Yeah, that has decreased over the last 30 years. I actually researched that, and it went from in the high 50% range was coming from the state of Ohio for the schools, and now it's in the low 40% range. The rest is being made up by local property taxes or the income tax, which is just
But if it's
starting to grow.
unconstitutional...
My point is the state is supposed to be doing it, not the local schools. Why isn't that being done?
We need to get the politicians to do that. And I have something to talk about with that. So before I wrap it up, I've got something I want to talk about. Any other questions? And I'm gonna.
Yeah, you need 5 more minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. So I also want to, and part of what I want to cover is I am running for state treasurer, and I just want everybody to know that. And a couple reasons that I'm running. The first big reason is because of the unclaimed funds in Lake County. We had unclaimed funds, which is about $5 million. And when I took office, we researched the unclaimed funds overpayments back to 1983, and we refunded 17,000 Lake County residents a refund. And I want to do that at the state level. That would be through the Commerce Department, but I believe it can be done, and it's $4.8 billion. And I believe I'm the only county treasurer that's done that, and I'd like to do that at the state level. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. Another reason that I'm running is the investment portfolio. In Lake County, we have done extremely well. I actually teach finance. I've taught it at John Carroll, Lake Erie, Lakeland Community College, and I teach finance, which is investment. And in a nutshell, our portfolio in 2021 returned $1.5 million, and last year it returned $18 million. This year we're going to be over $20 million. And it's just by looking at all the different investments we could take, if it's commercial paper or corporate bonds, whatever we could invest in, how long we could invest, because that money may be needed, and maximizing the investment. And you need somebody there who understands how to maximize the return, because it makes a huge difference. Another thing that I want to take to the state, which I think everyone would support is spending less money, because in the treasurer's office, my goal is to spend less tax dollars and serve the public better. So we have 2 less employees. We have 7 employees now. We had 9. And we have saved so much money with technology. One of the things, we've done a whole lot of things, but the best example I have is when I came into office, all the tax bills were mailed out. 114,000 tax bills were mailed out twice a year. And now 24,000 of those twice a year are emailed out and paid by email, which saves the county $3 per tax payment, which is, it's almost $150,000 for saving just by emailing a large portion of our taxpayers instead of mailing them a bill. That's a lot of money, and if you multiply that through the state, you're saving millions. The last thing is financial literacy. I think it is so important, and I do not see this spread through the state, but I go to the prisons, I go to the senior centers, I go to the schools, and I teach financial literacy at AWT, the trade schools, and I think it's so important because if somebody's trying to get back on their feet, they're trying to understand their finances, clean up their credit, if you can have a free class to teach them how to be successful, it is so important. It's something that I've been doing for 5 years, and I'd like to take it to the state. And then the last thing I want to talk about is I have a huge problem with property taxes because they have gone up so much, and I think they're out of control. I just think they're too much.
I agree.
And they're needed because I looked at what they pay for, and I've really researched it well. They pay for everything from the light bulbs on the freeways, and I actually looked up how many light bulbs do we have on 91. We have 2,000 to 3,000 light bulbs. And I'm getting older. Those things need to be on. I cannot see at 12 o'clock at night, and I know those are tax dollars. So, that's something that's really important to me. I deal a lot with Council on Aging, and I have researched how many Meals on Wheels Lake County does per year, and it's about 200,000 Meals on Wheels. That's so important. And the home health care for seniors to stay in their house. And the transportation that's provided for seniors to go to doctor's offices, go to grocery stores. These are all really important because without these, things could get a lot worse and could be a lot more expensive if you look at the whole picture of what property taxes are paying for or taxes are paying for, but they're way too high. So I created a survey, and I really hope everyone will take this. My thought on this is we have 132 representatives and senators in Ohio, and we cannot let them make the decision on how to replace or eliminate property taxes. We need to tell them, this is what we want to be done to replace or reduce our property taxes. And this survey, it goes into specific detail. What alternatives do you want to replace or reduce property taxes? Sales taxes, luxury tax, sin tax, marijuana tax. What taxes do you want to see increased and cut property taxes? And I teach 2 finance classes right now, and I actually surveyed 19-year-olds. Both of my classes are just filled with 19-year-olds. And they took the survey, and every single one of them said a residence tax is fair. Renters, owners, everybody living in the city should pay some basic tax for all the services that are used. And I was actually pretty proud of them. I'm like, you guys are 19 years old. You all want to pay into the system. This is good. This is really good. We got a lot of good young kids. It talks about what's most important to you. What's most important to me is public safety, police and fire. Number one, you got to have police and fire. But there's a whole bunch of choices on here. And then the most important question, I have about 700 responses so far. I want to get 15,000. The most important one is, what's your idea to solve the property tax issue? And I've had people respond from Australia and Alaska and all these different places. They got some fantastic ideas on how property taxes can be replaced. But I'd like to just give you the surveys, and I just hope everybody takes this. I think what needs to happen is we need to give this to the politicians in Columbus and say, these are what we want to solve the problem, because you're paying the taxes, you should be able to decide how to solve the problem.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
wasn't easy. See, you made it out of here alive. See, no, actually, no pitchforks, no torches. We wait till you leave. We know what you drive. No kidding. No, thank you. Very brave.
Thank you very much.
Very good presentation. Hardcore honesty, huh? Give him another hand. That was hard. Okay, so I was given an awareness by a Republican in the Republican Party that we are in need of Central Committee members. Is anyone here a Central Committee member? Okay, so I'm gonna explain what a Central Committee member is, and then Carolyn and I can't remember your name, Dennis, will explain more. The Central Committee is the governing body of the Republican Party. There is one member for every precinct in the county. They are elected to 2-year terms in primary elections, and vacancies are filled by the party's executive committee. By law, the Central Committee has to meet at least once every 2 years to pass its bylaws and elect its officers. The other time the Central Committee meets is to endorse candidates before a primary election. The Central Committee is also responsible for appointing most county officials in the event of a vacancy. This is how Chris Galloway first became county auditor and how John Plechnik first became a county commissioner. These functions set the party's bylaws, the selection of its officers, including its executive committee members, and the endorsement and appointment processes, all ultimately affect which candidates run for public office and how they behave in office. That's a biggie. The Central Committee should be used to endorse conservatives, candidates, and hold them accountable once in office. Instead, it's typically used to allow rhinos to run and excuse their lack of conservatism and their policies in office. You can make a difference now by joining the Central Committee and ensuring conservative candidates are elected who hold your values and govern like conservatives once in office. Dennis, would you mind giving your experience as a Central Committee member, what you do? Not like putting you on the spot, of course.
Well, really, it's fairly simple. What you are is you are the representative for your precinct, however big that precinct is in your city, and you essentially anything from the party that needs to get out to those Republicans in your precinct, you're the conduit for that, and you promote the Republican platform to those people, and when elections come around, you pass out literature to those people if they have questions. It all depends on how active you want to get, and essentially it's you're the social hub for the party in that precinct, and then you represent them at the Central Committee meetings.
So how much time a year?
Not really much.
3 hours, 4 hours?
Oh,
Oh, wait.
Huh.
how much?
A month.
A month.
Okay.
A month over a year. 30 days over a year's time?
It's 12, about 12 times 3 hours, isn't it? Every meeting. What's it, about 3 hours?
I belong to the executive committee. So
But as John Putchik said,
Oh,
and
sorry.
pardon me?
Didn't know quite what she was doing.
Okay. Well, as John Putchik said, this is the way to keep out rhinos. When I read him what my description was. And, John Putchik has a very good saying, the biggest virus we have in Lake County is the rhino virus, right? So here's a way to stop it, too. So next thing on the agenda before we get to our main speaker, promotions. I would need for 2026, this is now October, we'll have a meeting in November. There's no meeting in December, but we are having a tax meeting in December, correct? A tax. Okay, so that we'll go into that later. We need a new treasurer for this coming 2026. Madeline, where's Madeline?
I'm
Right here.
hiding.
Okay. Madeline, how long does it take every month to be a treasurer for Lake County Liberty Coalition?
An hour.
An hour. Come to the meetings, record things. You don't have to be a spreadsheet guru, do you? Write down who gave their dues, email, how they prefer to be text or emailed, and write down who wrote the dues. We need that. How much do we have left in the bank once December ends?
Once December ends, our end of the year balance should be $168.85.
So, please be generous tonight. When you take a cookie or two, make it a $5 cookie, okay?
And then when we figure that Q1 owe the church here $400 in rent because we pay it quarterly.
Right. So, I go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we're going to have a deficit of $231 basically going into next year.
Okay. Like I said, our best attendances were always during COVID. Right? People came and people participated, and now they think everything is okay, and we know the world is not okay. Correct? We're not back to normal, and we have more rhinos than ever, if you ask me. So please be generous. We do. We meet in November. We don't meet in December unless there's a special tax meeting. We will meet. The church is very nice, warm, safe, good parking, good lighting. Better than meeting in a dog park, right, Tom Hack?
Right.
Yeah. Or in a cold pavilion outside in fall.
Well, we were very creative.
Yeah, you were.
It might be cold and rainy out there, but we had a roof over our head.
And the pastor here is, very patriot-like and easy to talk to, and she appreciates whatever we give, but I don't want to take advantage of her either. So, second thing, so as treasurer, I have 2 people out there that are thinking about being treasurer. If you want to think about being treasurer, step up, let me know, call, I'll give you my number. It literally takes, just have to come to the meetings, record it. We count the money together, have 2 or 3 witnesses. I make a deposit because it's right next to my house. So that's...
And then the treasurer confirms the deposit by looking at the bank account.
Right. And then if I need things to be paid, you, the treasurer, writes the check, and you give it to that person, not me. Okay. All right. So that's a whole year already gone by. And Madeline stepped up last year because no one else wanted to do it. And then she did it. So... we need some new blood. So, bringing that up, there is no Tea Party in Lake County that I know of, correct? We're it.
This is it.
We're it. Like I always say, people, when we come to the catacombs, we're it. Okay? Like, we need to stay together. We need to be here. I always say, I have like a broken record. Exchange your emails, exchange your phone numbers, talk to each other, let's help each other. The latest conversations was who has chickens, who has eggs, who has wood, who has gas, those conversations going on, right? Okay, cryptocurrency, what does it mean? At least for the nutcases together, right? So I hope we can still stay together, okay, come January 2026, and dues are only $20 a year, okay? If you bring a guest, we ask for a $5 donation with your guest. Okay, we need to give membership up. So there's a lot coming down the pike. Just turn on the news every day, and then you want to turn off the news every day, right? Yeah. We need to stay in contact with each other. Call to action. Lakeland Community College Carolyn, you were at Lakeland Community College. She's our representative. Anybody else at the Lakeland meetings about the DEI? Okay, Carolyn, you want to say a couple words? What's happening, though, even though they got rid of DEI? You want to say a couple words?
Are you sure they did? Yes.
Well, that's what's going on. Carolyn, you want to come up? You want to just do it over there? Here, let me... Here.
I think the public schools around here are still doing it, too.
Okay.
The rest of the story.
Anyway, we last month thought we were all good to go at Lakeland Community College, and we're ready to just relax a little bit. But what has happened is we got rid of the DEI language at the college. Then they decided to get rid of the DEI board and make it a human resources board, and that was supposed to be the policeman behind what they wrote. Now they want to eliminate that entirely. So in other words, they might say nice things about what, DEI, getting rid of that and everything, but there's not going to be any enforcement. And we really feel that it's kind of a punishment because they don't really want to do this. So anyway, there is a meeting on Friday, and I do believe that the board is sensitive to having the public there. When they see the public show up, that changes things. Okay? So, anyone who is available at 1 o'clock this Friday, Lakeland Community College, Building D, 2nd floor. All you have to do is come and sit. And just be there. we'll see if we can get, one or two people to say things like me. I get too nervous, but I'll try it anyway. Okay. All right. So, Friday, 1 o'clock, Lakeland Community College.
Yeah, I can't add something to that.
Yeah. But it's true. Last time Lake County Liberty Coalition showed up, didn't we? We had like 12 people from Lake County Liberty Coalition, and the lefties just put their heads down and voted the way they should. Just by seeing people walk in the room, Lake County Liberty Coalition showed up.
Yeah, I'll just be very brief, but a couple of years ago, Matt Huberman, remember Matt, he was here, and he was the one that brought up the DEI. And when he brought that up, there was a Lakeland teacher, I can't remember her name, but I've got the video, and she, wearing her mask and everything, was in his face, basically saying that DEI is the cornerstone of the teaching of Lakeland Community College.
Oh my God. She gave the best Elizabeth Warren invitation I have ever seen.
Right? Was that a good video or right?
Oh my God.
So if what I can do is I'll bring it back and put it on Lobbyists for Citizens, or why don't we have a website so I can put it on our website? We should think about that.
We have a position open. Who would like to create it?
Well, I'm just a tad busy right now.
No, I know. I don't mean you.
Okay, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to try to be there, and I'll have my camcorder ready, and let's see what happens. See if it's going to be the cornerstone, and if they have public comments, I'm going to mention that video, that it's a cornerstone. Thank you.
And let me tell you, when Brian shows up in video, everybody just starts looking in the back of the room like, oh, who's that? And the officials come in. I've been at the Lakeland meetings, and Lake County Liberty Coalition. I've seen Michael and Nina's there. The Fidanzas are there. Dennis, you were there, weren't you? Yeah, you were there. Okay, Brian was there, of course. You both were there, Bill and you. So just by us showing up, they get a little nervous. And we're just polite and we're quiet, and and Brian puts up his camera nice and quiet, and his tripod goes up. And dun, 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 yeah. So let's help them Friday at 1 o'clock. They're about an hour meeting, would you say?
Yeah, it's not very long.
Yeah. It's just an hour meeting, and I see the push for it to come back. The left is really pushing back, even though parents. I see. Yes.
Maybe as many of us as can go, but not be quiet.
Well, that's fine. Just speak at the podium. Fine. You have to, usually how it goes. You have to get there like 10 minutes early, sign in that you're going to speak, and they will call on you. I have spoken before, but you have to get there 10 minutes early, and they'll put out a little card and they'll call your name. And they're very polite. They let you have your time. So thank you if you can. I really appreciate it. I'll be there. So that's it. So with that being said, that's why we should keep Lake County Liberty Coalition. Right there. Okay, not to mention, of course, I walk around with this in grocery stores. It doesn't get me a lot of, I'm going to go to the Lake Catholic Crafts Show this Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be there.
And just look at the crafts. Because people do stop. They look. I go, oh, have you heard of this? They go, no, and you talk to them. It's my little clipboard. I walked around a clam bake with it. I think Brian Massey knows about that. I went to the Right to Life, right? Go to like-minded people. Brian has worked his rear end off with my husband, John Mara, and Leonard Gilbert, and Vesna. They have worked their rear tails off. Jan, you've been out there? We have been out on Mentor Avenue in front of Tim Allen Jewelers getting signatures. Opinion. I think it's a great way to get the word out. We need, sign waivers, tell people to come in. Bernadette's great. She goes like this. I'm more of the screamer, So we've gotten a good amount of signatures. But I do find that birds of a feather. Keep your petition with you. If you're a circulator, you might clear out your family get-together. But, you bring it to your family get-together. Just bring it to where you go.
What family?
A clam bake. a wedding, the right to life. I know, really. We went to 50th wedding anniversary. My husband, he just looked at the whole room. I hadn't seen his family in years. I'm like, are they still my family? But they weren't. I hadn't seen them. And he goes, well, I'll take it, right? He married into the family.
Great Christmas gift.
Great Christmas gift, yeah.
Sign the petition.
Sign the petition. Yeah. So I think opinion is better. You just keep it in your car, wherever you go. I'm not saying you start waving it around, but take it with you in places, because it's the biggest success that I have gotten just by being in usually like-minded crowds, and it's not that hard.
Well, the lady from church said she took it to her book club.
There you go.
She got all the pages signed from her book club people.
Book club. You don't know what you belong to, so you start thinking about it. I thought our pastor wouldn't sign it. He said, "Give me that." You don't know. You don't know. So think what's coming up, the holidays, right? We could do this. We could do this. I've seen Lake County Liberty Coalition get out there. I said, no one taught me how to protest better than Tom Hack. Nobody. Freezing, hats, boots, coats.
Shovel the sidewalk.
Shovel the sidewalk.
Whatever you got to do.
Right? We need to keep this action going in this group. And I enjoy keeping the action going, but I also need people to help me promoting it. I'm looking for someone techie, tech savvy, to keep on media. You're right, Brian. We need our own website. So those are my dreams for 2026. Let's hope these dreams are your dreams for Lake County Liberty Coalition. So without further ado, we are going to have our speaker from last month, who is going to go further into smart meters, data centers. One of the biggest threats to our health is our electromagnetic radiation in our air, in our schools, in our houses. He actually came to my house and did a reading of my house. Thank God we were okay. So I have to find another reason why I'm not sleeping.
Paranormal.
Right. I need an exorcism. Yeah, right. So, Mr. John Uher, he's our expert tonight. Please give him a hand.
Okay, while I'm gearing up, I'll just, like Nancy said, yeah. This is going to be an extension of what I did last month and the month before. We were talking about smart meters and how they're affecting us and how they're basically rolling these things out without letting anybody know the ins and outs. What is the health concerns associated with it. So,
Can we check this?
yeah. So let me see if we can get this thing going here. And we were talking about electromagnetic hypersensitivity associated with smart meters. Okay, and what we're talking about is when we talk about smart meters and hypersensitivity. Basically, what we're talking about is that not everybody's affected by it. We talk about electromagnetic hypersensitivity the same way we talk about seasonal allergies. Some people are affected by it, some people are not. Some people are more affected by it than other people. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Not everybody feels it, but we're all being subjected to it, whether we know it or not. Okay? This is who I am, John Uher. That's my website and email address. I have some handouts in the back, that type of thing, if you're interested in taking something like that. Some of my credentials, the left side is all schooling. You can see I put in about 8 years of school to get where I'm at today. I was a master technician with Time Warner Cable. That represents about 2% out of about 5,000 technicians. So it's a lot of schooling, it's a lot of education you have to go through, and a lot of guys don't want to do that, but I did that. And then on the right are the accolades that I received from the company for my services rendered. This is a real picture of the Earth, not like the beautiful blue planet they keep showing you all the time. This is what it looks like, okay? Space junk. Some different terms you're going to want to get used to is frequency, the rate at which a vibration occurs, EMS, electromagnetic field, EMR is electromagnetic radiation, and EMH is electromagnetic hypersensitivity, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. From source cell phones, this type of thing. Here we go. Everybody getting used to seeing these things nowadays. You go into Arizona, they look like Sararos. You can't even tell you can't tell it's a cell phone tower. It looks like a cactus. Now we're starting to see them go up, and they're looking like pine trees. They're trying to make them look real pretty. We saw one the other day. It looked like a palm tree. So they're trying to disguise these things, okay? In 1985, there was a total of 900 cell phone towers in the United States. Today, there's over 200,000 cell phone towers in the United States. That's a huge jump in the number of cell phone towers, okay? There are over 14,000 working low Earth orbit satellites. LEO's currently in orbit around the Earth, and Elon Musk is seeking approval from Congress to launch another 42,000 within the next few years. Scientists are concerned that if they get to go ahead and do this, they won't even be able to see the stars through their observatories anymore. Because there's going to be so much space junk, so many satellites up there, that you're not going to be able to see through it. This is what we're looking at right now. This is what they're doing. My opinion is they're terraforming the planet. I don't know what they're planning, but it's not good. Okay? The research, Stop, Nancy. Is this one working? Okay. This one working. Basically, what they're saying is and Debbie asked me this question a couple times. I had some other people asking me questions about it too. Is where's the current data? There is none. All research being done on near field, even far field exposure to EMS, especially ultra high frequency, stopped in 2009. In 2012, the Bioinitiative Working Group came out with a report that they reported on the biological effects that these things have on human beings, plants, and animals, and that was quickly sequestered. So what they're doing is they're sequestering all this stuff. What they found in 2009 was that it was leading to cancer and leukemia and all these other things in the lab animals that they were testing, so they just shut it down. They shut it down and they just kept rolling it out. Now, again, there's no far field studies being done, and the studies that they did do, the way they came up with the numbers for it to be labeled as safe technology, the way they got those numbers was they began with wireless technology in the military. It was a military technology, and it was solely for the military. And what they did was they set these standards much, much higher because they knew they were going to be exposing military personnel to them. And these guys are supposed to be the toughest of the tough, right? They're our military. So they set these limits higher than what most other countries, I'm talking thousands of times higher, to see what the exposure to these EMS and radiation would do to these servicemen. After the studies were done, they never went back and did another study. They just kept those numbers. Okay? So the numbers that they have set as safe are thousands of times higher than what they should be. And we have other countries like Sweden and Holland and Germany that are already recalibrating their numbers much, much lower. And what they're saying is, in those countries, if we took our cell phone into those countries, or our tablets and that, we wouldn't be able to use it because the amount of radiation being emitted for them would exceed their limits. More cell phone towers. It's everywhere, okay? And we can all agree that cell phones and tablets and Wi-Fi has made our life a lot easier. and we're all getting used to it, comfortable with it. We all got our phones, but what they're not telling you is there's a dark side to it, and they're using us as guinea pigs. Now, just a show of hands, how many people's got a phone on them right now? How many of those phones are on? Keep your phone hand up, okay? What we've done is we've turned this whole room into a cell tower. Because each one of those phones that are on right now are transmitting and receiving signals back and forth from that cell phone tower. And the closer the proximity is with these cell phones, the more it's amplified. So you want to keep that in mind when you're in a big crowd. What is electromagnetic hypersensitivity? It's a condition where individuals experience physical symptoms like headaches, anxiety, insomnia, these types of things, stomach ache. They're going to the doctor. They're saying, hey, doc, there's something wrong with you. Doc says, hey, it's all in your mind. Because the doctors don't know what it is. There is no diagnosis for this because there's not enough studies being done. And they're urging, scientists are screaming, we need more studies done. We need to start figuring out why people are getting sick, and we need to start revamping the safe limits. This was taken off of a cell phone tower. If you look at the base of a cell phone tower, I sent this out, and right here at the bottom, you can see. Let me see here, right there, heart issues, flu-like symptoms, muscle and nerves problems, headache, insomnia, cognitive fatigue, tinnitus, vision problems. It's all 5G, and they're all right here. The signal emitted by this tower are damaging to humans, animals, and plants. All right, up to several hundred feet away. This is up to.
Village, right?
Huh?
That was Bay Village, wasn't it? Bay
This
Village?
was a Bay Village, but there's one right there on what is it? It's Lakeshore and 306 right behind Huntington. There's one there, and there's one over by the fire station on Andrews Road. There's 2 or 3 of them over there. So they have to put these. They have to put these labels on here because it's the law. They have to let them. They have to let the public know that these things are dangerous. Don't stand in front of it. And they're saying up to 700 feet. Okay, and we're talking about as high as gigahertz. And we had this argument before. We had somebody on next door. One of them was talking about, it's 528 gigahertz. No, it's not. Or they're talking about megahertz. It's gigahertz. We're talking about gigahertz. We're talking about thousands of times more potent than a megahertz. We're talking about 525 megahertz. So when you put that in perspective, human beings are bioelectrical. We know that because they can measure our heart rate, our brain waves, and that type with medical equipment. So we know that we have a current that runs through our body that keeps us alive. That current is 7.83 hertz. Now we're talking about hertz compared to gigahertz. All right? A gigahertz, you can add like 14 zeros to that. Okay? The planet itself, the human resonance that keeps the planet and everything on the planet alive and evolution going the way it goes, is 7.83 hertz. Which means that human beings have a biological connection to the planet itself. We're one. We're not separate from the planet. We're actually, if something bad happened to the planet, we'd all be dead. Okay? So when we start talking about the gigahertz range, this is a number that's pretty much incomprehensible to most people. And we're being subjected to this 24/7.
Did you take that picture yourself?
I did.
What local tower?
That was in Bay Village. That was over in Bay Village, over on I think it was like Village Parkway over
Did you
there.
ever talk to a cell tower owner?
No, what they do is they put up these cell phone towers and then they lease them out.
Well, a friend of mine, matter of fact, he's running to replace Jimmy Callender. He owns hundreds of cell phone towers. Jesse.
Okay, so yeah, he owns the towers, but what he's doing is leasing them out. He's leasing them out. Now, because he owns the tower doesn't mean it's in use. You'll see a lot of towers that don't have antennas on them. They're there for further use. And they're there to, people can lease them, these companies can lease them out. But you'll see a lot of them don't have the antennas already put on, but a lot of them do.
They're putting them up by schools, too.
Oh, it's unbelievable. They're putting them right in the playground. Go ahead.
They're also putting them on top of water towers.
They're putting them everywhere. They're putting them on top of, if you ever been to Great Northern? over there on the west side. Then there's a big, huge apartment complex right across the street. And if you look, the whole top of it, it just looks like somebody put Christmas lights up there. And it's all 5G antennas. It's right there. So you got people shopping there. You got people living there. It's got to be 14-floor apartment building. So you got to think about how many thousands of people are living in there, and they're being subjected to that. It's right there. So, yeah, it's bad news.
How do we get away from it?
People who are most affected by it, people with chronic stress or anxiety, people frequently exposed to electronics, which is all of us, okay? Those with chemical sensitivities, individual with nervous system disorders, people living near power lines, cell phone towers, and smart meter. And it's right there, smart meter. I mean, we've been talking about smart meters for a couple of months now. So, pregnant women should be as far away from these things as possible. Your tablet, your phone, whatever. We were watching a video the other day, and the woman's sitting there, and she's pregnant. She's got to be getting ready to deliver the baby, and she's sitting there with a tablet on top of her belly. Yeah. Just like nobody's business. She's just doing her thing, So it's bad. You're exposing the baby to these microwaves. Millimeter waves they are, actually. Some of the symptoms of migraines, headaches, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, sleep disorders, dizziness, vertigo, tingling, burning, pressure sensations, mood changes. It influences your brain, your electrical pathways in your brain. Okay. People are saying they're having problems sleeping, frequently waking up during the night, reduced melatonin production, vivid dreams, unrest, morning fatigue, and brain fog. Now, we were just watching, like I said, we watched a couple of newer documentaries the other day, and they were talking about the blood-brain barrier permeability that is penetrating that, overexposure. And what they're talking about mainly is people who hold their cell phones up to their ear when they're talking. That is really bad. Don't do that. If you're in the habit of doing that, stop doing that.
Put it on speaker.
Use your speakerphone. Text whenever possible. If you're going to hold it up, hold it away from your head. Don't put that thing right up against your head. Some of the other effects: tingling, burning, prickly sensation, redness, rashes, itching, warmth, dryness, or sensitivity. So you can see there's a whole host of symptoms that go along with this. And then when you go to your doctor and you're saying, hey, you know what, I'm experiencing this, that, and the other thing, they're telling you, okay, just go home and take an aspirin. And aspirin's not going to cut it. It's not what it is. Heart palpitation, regular heart can affect your heart, increase heart rate. When we start talking about that, we got to be really careful with people with pacemakers or automatic defibrillators, these types of things. I have a friend of mine that had a pacemaker, and then they upgraded him to a defibrillator, and he's got to be real careful about being too close to his router and having his cell phone on. The problem with it is his defibrillators, it's Wi-Fi. So they download an app on your phone for your defibrillator that's in your chest, and it registers. Right? So, yeah, it's insane. Some other symptoms: anxiety, hypervigilance, depression, irritability, mood swings, cognitive difficulties, social... I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's bad. And they're not telling you. But if you look, and we saw... If you click on your phone, the info on your phone, general, you go in general, and you go into legal, where it says legal, in there you might have to look through it, but it tells you that, don't hold this thing up to your head, it could cause cancer, these types of things. People don't look at that. And they also, when you get your phone, and it comes in that little box, pretty little box for your iPhone or whatever, there's a pamphlet in there. And in the very, 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 very small print, it tells you, that they're considered to be, they were calling it a class 2 carcinogen, which is maybe it does, but lately they're upgrading it to a class 1 carcinogen. So, little kids are especially, and this is one of the main reasons that I left Time Warner, okay, because like I said, I was what they called an escalation tech, because I was a master technician. An escalation technician is someone where you've got a problem with your internet. And you have 5 technicians in your house so far, and your internet still doesn't work right. And you're having a fit because you're paying for it, it's not working. That's what they would send me. And they would say, John, this is your job. You go there and you don't leave until it's fixed and the customer's happy. It doesn't matter if it's all day. And what was happening is I was going into these people's houses and I'd have a guy in there and he's reading me the riot act because his internet doesn't work, his Wi-Fi doesn't work, and he's got a pair of twin 5-year-old little girls sitting on the couch with a tablet in their lap. So this guy's complaining to me because his internet doesn't work, but when I make it work, I'm frying these little girls' ovaries because now all of a sudden their internet works. And he's bitching because it doesn't work. It's like, dude, you don't get it, you know? And that's when we had the discussion. I was like, look, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I wasn't sleeping well at night, you know? And the way I was raised was, I was always told that if you can't sell it to your grandmother and feel good about it, don't sell it. And that's what she said. Well, you know, we're in a good spot. If you want to get out, get out. So that's what happened. But kids are especially susceptible to it because their nervous systems are still forming, their brains are still forming. They haven't built up a good immune system yet, and their bones are thinner. So it's penetrating their head more. It's penetrating into their bone marrow easier. It's causing all kinds of problems with the kids. They're having problems concentrating, you know, their moods and that type of thing. It disrupts your circadian rhythm, long-term risk, especially in children. They have greater cumulative. It's a cumulative effect. They recommend limiting screen time and keeping wireless and devices away from your body. Turning off your Wi-Fi at night and using wired connections. Now, we have timers on ours, so it comes on at like 8 o'clock in the morning and it goes off at midnight. So it's not on all night long. We don't sleep with it on, okay? So you can do stuff like that. Go ahead.
So within all of that, all our public schools no longer have textbooks, and all the children have iPads.
Right.
And the United States is the only country that does that. The only country. Every other country in the world that has computer technology in the classrooms for the kids, it's all wired. It's all fiber optic. There is no wireless. Go ahead.
Is there any test for sensitivity?
There's not really. You're talking about a medical test?
Right.
There's no medical testing. None.
I mean, if you wanted to see if you were sensitive or a child was sensitive to it, how would you?
You would expose them to wireless technology and see how it affects them. Some kids they'll get irritable. They'll can't sit still. They'll start complaining their head hurts or their stomach hurts or that type of thing. For me personally, it's my hands. My hands start to hurt, and that's just from working with it for so long, for so many years. I was a head-end technician, which means that the signal comes from the satellite down to the earth in a building, and that building is like one of these data centers that we're talking about. And all it is computer, all these switches right at one after another, and you're surrounded by it all the time, and you're constantly hands-on. So now I have sensitivity in my hands. If I hold on to our remote for our TV too long, or if I have my phone in my hand too long, my hands start to hurt, so I have to put it down. Wired connection, like I said, United States is the only country in the world that's still got wireless in schools. Some countries, it's against the law to give a kid a phone if they're below the age of 14 years old. It's against the law. You can't give it to them. Now you got 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds in our country got cell phones. Yeah. We were watching it.
Younger yet.
Yeah. The lady was talking about her little granddaughter or something, 3 years old, knows how to pick the phone up, turn it on, and start scrolling. 3 years old. And that's what and that's the problem. It's the kid, it's the children and the elderly, because the elderly, they're compromised. They're already got health issues they're dealing with. Maybe it's heart, maybe it's nervous problem, the circulatory or nervous system, whatever it is. So they're already dealing with stuff. And then you add this on top of it. Again, you got ambiguous exposure, subtle cumulative effects. We got to try to protect, these children, pregnant women, the old, the elderly. We got to do something about this. Awareness is part of it. Like they say, being aware of problem is 80% of the cure. Okay, so now, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create awareness so that people understand that these technologies that you're bringing into your house can be potentially harmful, and not just for you, but your grandchildren, your pets, these types of things. Cell phone radiation, you hold it up to your head. I always talk about specific absorption rate, and it's that's how much radio frequency of an electronic device, cell phone, is absorbed into the human body per centimeter square. All right. Every device, every phone has a different SAR rating. If I pull up the SAR rating of my phone, it's going to be different than yours. Unless you have exactly the same phone. I have an iPhone 8 Pro. It's an older iPhone. So if you have an iPhone 8 Pro, it's going to be the same. But if you have any other type of phone, your SAR rating is going to be different. Your SAR rating is going to be different on your laptop. It's going to be different on your tablet. It's going to be different on your smart refrigerator. It's going to be different on your smart microwave. Any type of wireless technology that says smart on it has a SAR rating on it. And that's what Nancy had me come. What I did for Nancy and John was, it's called a hot spot assessment. And all I did was go through the house and find your hot spots. And it happened to be like right where John was sitting watching TV all the time. So we got that worked out for him.
But I don't have insomnia.
Yeah.
Like a baby.
So we got that worked out for him. But there's another one, and that's a deeper dive where we come in and we actually do the research on every wireless component you have in your house to find out what those SAR ratings are, and if they're within acceptable. They say acceptable safe limit, but we know that these safe limits are thousands of times too high already.
So what do you do about it once you find it? Then what?
Well, we try to move it as far away from you as you can. Put timers on it. If you want to put shielding, there's shielding. I don't sell any shielding, that type of thing. There's plenty of places you can go online to buy shielding for the things.
I was going to ask about that. You see those ads with the little things they stick on the phone. Are those real?
They're real, but they don't work.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
And the lady's got the necklace that
Well, those cute necklaces that are supposed to.
Yeah.
There's some debate on whether they work or not.
Okay.
The technology makes sense, but where's the evidence that it works?
So is there shielding that is legitimate, that works, that you?
Yeah, there are some products that you can get. Hang on, Deb.
So what remedy do you have if you call the illuminating company to have them remove the smart meter?
Right.
And they tell you they will, and months
Charge
go
you.
by and they don't, and you call them and then they don't return your call.
They have to replace it. If you tell them that you want your smart meter replaced with a mechanical meter, they have to replace it.
Right. But
Now,
they charge you.
They do charge you for that. They
Every
charge you
month.
$45, and then they charge you an
They do.
opt-out fee.
Yeah.
It's like $27 a month.
A month.
Yeah.
Right.
They do.
Yeah.
Painesville City won't do it.
They won't do what?
They won't replace it. Right.
They have to replace it. They got to give you an option to opt out.
I'm telling you, he says yes, in this house, he said there's no provision for them to replace it.
Time to go to your city council meeting and complain.
Yeah, that's a law. They've got to give you an opt out for that. Go ahead.
How do you know if you have a smart meter?
It's a digital.
Yeah, it has a digital readout, and then it has a little sensor on the front of it. And a lot of times it'll say FCC on there. I have an FCC number on there because I have a digital meter on my house, but it's not a smart meter. Okay, so there's a difference between a digital meter and a smart meter. Smart meters are a two-way communications device. They have a transmitter and a receiver built in, and you can see it on the front of it. Okay.
Who asked, what does it look like?
John.
So again, we're talking about specific absorption rate. How much of this radiation? Go ahead.
We actually found a necklace that works because in the airport, the lady had that detector thingy, and when it reached her necklace, it turned it off.
Wow. Great. Yeah. See, like I said, the technology is.
What do you say?
Where do you find it at?
Those Q neck. Was it a Q necklace type of thing?
It was one of those necklaces, and when the lady had the detector thing to detect the metal, it turned it off, which got to the necklace.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've looked at the technology. I've looked at the patent information on these things, And the technology's sound. It makes sense. It's just, where's the data that shows that they actually work? And everybody's different. So what works for you might not work for me.
I just want you to point out there's a difference between shielding and blocking and mitigating effects.
Right.
Because if you shield it, then it's not going to work at all.
Right.
And that's the point. Do you want it to work or don't you want it to work? So instead of shielding, it might be better to get products that are going to mitigate the effects. And how do they work? Right, that's all vague.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
Do you know if RFK Jr. is...
That was my question.
About this
I just saw that
If it's
this
on his
morning.
radar,
They were
if
talking
it's on
about
his radar,
JFK addressed it. It's like this guy must be in my head or something. Because I just saw it this morning. JFK is going to start to address cell phone towers and wireless radiation in the homes. So there's some things going on.
What about a Faraday bag? Do those work?
Faraday bags work.
They do.
Yeah.
That's going to block.
Right.
It'll
Then
block
you don't
it.
have service.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But you can do the same thing. You don't even have to. All you got to do is put your cell phone, your tablet, in your microwave. You don't turn it on.
Right.
But you just put it, because your microwave is a Faraday cage.
Right.
Microwave is a
Got it,
Faraday
got it,
cage.
got it.
If you put your cell phone on like airplane mode,
It doesn't matter. It's still sending.
you're still getting
It's
the
still
signal. Okay.
More cell phone towers.
I just meant like when you go to sleep, so you should turn it off as opposed to just put it on an airplane.
We always turn our stuff off. Everything goes off. Yeah. I mean, because what it is they've eliminated landlines from the suburbs, and they're saying anybody that has the ability to connect to a cell phone tower.
That's good news right now.
They eliminated landlines. Okay, so you can't even get a line. We tried to get a landline. You can't get one.
No, we have one.
Do you?
But if you move, I was told, if you move, you can never get one again.
You can't get it back.
So if you're there to have one, you can keep it, but you can never get, people move in, you can't get it.
You can get it if you live in a rural area where your cell phone reception is spotty. You can still get one, but if you're living in a suburb, you're not going to get one.
It's like if there's an emergency and somebody needs to call you in the middle of the night.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
You
That's
gotta
like,
have a phone on somewhere.
that's what makes you uncomfortable. That's what my wife keeps saying. Well, what if we have an emergency? Then you got to start your phone up, and get it going. So
Back there, then we'll go back on. Go ahead.
If you have a house that's covered with aluminum siding, does that block anything?
no.
No.
But you don't want your house to block anything because anything that's in your house then can't get out, and you just have
Right.
all that more in the
It's like
house.
it's shut off.
Before cell phone use, 15 minutes after using your cell phone, you can see this guy cooked his own head. That's 15 minutes. So again, I can't emphasize that strong enough. Don't hold your phone up to your head. A lot of people say, "Oh, I've been having my phone up to my ear, hot." Your ear's not hot. You're cooking it. You're cooking your brain. Like that heat is radiation. So don't just text or use your speakerphone. Don't put that thing up to your head. And we see it all the time. We see it all the time. You go to the grocery store, you go to the mall, you go anywhere you go, people are walking around and they're doing
What
that.
about when they have those earphones?
Oh, those are bad.
Those are even worse.
Right, those are
Yeah, the
bad.
Bluetooth things, because that's right in your ear. And it's recharged. Those are rechargeable, which means it has a battery in it. There's a battery in there, and those batteries are lithium batteries, and they'll explode. And we have heard of cases where people had their Bluetooth explode in their ear. So, yeah, not good. Call to action. You got to create low EMF zones in your home. Use wired connections whenever you can. Limit your screen time. Keep devices off of your body. That's another thing. Women are sticking them in their bra. They're going to the gym and they're working out and they're sticking their phone in their bra. The guys are going to the gym and they're working out and they're sticking their phone in their pocket. Now all of a sudden infertility is going through the roof. Breast cancer is going through the roof. Brain cancer is going through the roof. Leukemia is going through the roof. All studies were halted in 2009. Because I know Nancy was asking me and Debbie was asking me too, is like, where's the data? Where's the recent studies being? There isn't any. There isn't any. You have small little pockets of, private groups of scientists that are doing their own investigation, their own research, but even they're being censored. It's very tough. Like I told Debbie, I spent almost 2 hours online just trying to find something recent. And the most recent thing I could find was 2 years old. So it's tough. It's tough to find it. And they're keeping it all quiet. They don't want you to know.
John,
Yeah.
do you think that this could be a cause of fibromyalgia?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. They talk about fibromyalgia. Now, there's I have a handout with some of the symptoms that are going on with this in the back, so if you want to take a look at that.
The back table.
Yeah.
One other thing. Do you think that this affects
Oh, yeah. It's affecting every living thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's affecting us. It's affecting the plants. It's affecting the fish. It's affecting the birds. You know, Elon Musk talked about putting up 42,000 more satellites. Okay, now we can do questions and answers. Can you get a copy of the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, there's a sign-up sheet on the back. I got a sign-up sheet for people who want to do an assessment, whether if you just want to find a hot spot or if you want me to go through and actually do the SAR ratings on all your appliances, that type of thing. There's a sign-up sheet back there. You put your name on there, and then I'll contact you. And if you just want the PowerPoint, I'll send you the PowerPoint. But there's a warning here. When you start transferring PowerPoints from one laptop to another, if my laptop has a virus that I'm not aware of, it could be embedded in that PowerPoint. And as soon as you load it up on your computer, now you got it too. Now I run antivirus software on mine all the time, so I'm pretty confident that I don't have a problem. But just thought I'd throw it out there whenever you're switching back and forth like that.
I wanted to make a couple of things that I learned from John when he was in my house. If you have a smart meter, I have a picture on my phone if you want me to show it to you. When the smart meter is installed, it is a constant because it's directly charged into your house, right into your electrical system. So it's a constant pulse into your house all day. Out through your electrical outlets all day. Okay.
But the company told you that it's not.
Pardon me?
The company told you
the company
it's
was
not.
saying it's not. Okay. We opted out of ours. We called. It took my husband forever to get through. Finally got through. Now we're paying $28 a month for something I don't use.
Right.
Kind of like the schools, but anyways. So we did. We opted out. I happened to come home early that day. He was in the front yard at the same time. Weird. Came in together, looking at each other, and there's a gentleman in the yard.
Political news.
And my husband goes, whoa. You know, we opted out. He goes, yeah, we know, but we have to put a tag on it to show them that you opted out. Right. These are third-party contractors. Yes. They don't know. Do you understand? Like First Energy, your electric company, whatever. They hired third-party contractors. They're just doing their job, ma'am. Right. Okay? So we already had put the masking tape over ours. No smart meter.
Yeah.
We locked our fence. My kid, my ex-one at home's like, they're crazy. What's going on?
Did they send you a letter?
No, you call.
No, they did send you a pamphlet, and then they send you a letter if you notice that that's what it was. But then they don't tell you you can opt out unless you actually do the research.
But you should get something to let you know that they're going to be installing them.
Yes.
No, they just come out.
Right,
they just come out.
No, they do.
Mine didn't do one. We didn't do one. No, Loretta?
We were standing back there, and the guy comes and goes, I go, what are you doing? He's, I'm putting this up.
I just not always.
Yeah, you didn't know. Loretta?
I was listening to this podcaster, and I can't remember who it was, but there are covers that you could put, hopefully, to mitigate that whole smart meter thing going into your home.
Is that true, John?
No.
No.
It needs way too much to mitigate it.
It's placebo. It's plugged into your wiring.
Okay.
That's the difference, because they have smart meters for your water and your gas, but your water and your gas doesn't run through your electrical outlets. Your electric does. That's the difference. Okay? And somebody said that they didn't get the notice, and I've heard that. I've heard that they didn't even get a notice. They just came and did it. Now they're trying to get it removed, and they're giving them a fit about it.
But even if you call them and they ask them, when am I on schedule to get the meter, they don't even know the information, because I said I wasn't in for 2 months and they came out the next week. So they don't even know in-house, they're not being told the information.
Yeah.
You can go on the website to look at when they're gonna roll out, it's not up to date, nobody knows.
Yeah.
So that's why I put a sign outside.
Even
on
on
the
it,
meter.
even though you
On the meter.
Yeah, so right, because a third
Until
party,
they tag
a third
it.
party was supposed to install it. They don't even know.
No.
You know, they looked it up like, oh yeah, you did opt out, but
Yeah, they don't.
So
Go ahead.
Very easy to miss the flyer they send.
Right, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It could get lost in the junk mail. It could get. Just kind of glance at it. Oh, that's an ad from the illuminating company. Unless you read it,
right,
and you find the part that says you can opt out of this thing we're doing, you would never even know that's what was in there.
One more question, then I want you to talk about data centers and the smart
Okay.
meter. Okay.
It's a statement. The one reason why, if you say you don't want the meter on your home, they say I'll round it up to $30 a month. They said that's to pay a meter reader person.
That's a lie.
And so the meter reader person is still coming to our home to read the digital, and they said, well, it'll be another 5 to 6 months before they put up the Wi-Fi towers for them then to be able to. The Wi-Fi tower will then read your meter, okay, and then it gets sent to wherever. So then that's how they're eliminating the meter reader. So they say positions.
Right,
That's
so
why you have to pay
so
extra.
none of that. They have the power, right? Because on these meters they have an on and off switch. Right?
Yes.
They could
From
put a magic
wherever
wand
they're
up in the air, shut off your
Yes.
power. I mean, you've read about communist countries. They don't let you post it online. You don't have a good social credit score.
Right.
You're not green enough in your views.
Right.
Call me conspiracy theorist.
They're not eliminating the readers, they're saying they're putting them to use elsewhere. They have other jobs for them to do. Probably
Exactly.
the stations where they need them.
Well, you're always going to have meter readers because you're going to always have people that are going to opt out. So you're already paying somebody to read the meter. So why are they charging
So
me
why are they
$28
charging
a month?
Exactly.
Just send somebody out if you're already paying somebody.
They think they're going to believe the lie. That's not to pay the meter reader.
So
Yeah.
we have a brief. I don't mean to interrupt you, John. We have a brief snippet here of what went on in Columbus about a gentleman talking about the brownouts and the blackouts. See, they need this energy for their data centers. You've heard about the word data centers.
Right.
So we're going to hear a little bit of our representative. Who's it?
Ranking Member Rader and members of the committee. My name is Robert Kelter, and I'm a managing attorney at the Environmental Law and Policy Center. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. HB 427 is a timely bill that will benefit all Ohio utility customers by lowering electricity demand. And I want to give you some background on the bill today. It has been widely publicized that PJM faces capacity shortages in the next few years. Capacity refers to the demand for electricity at peak times, which generally occur on the hottest days of summer. HB 427 will address these issues and supplements the provision in HB 15 that ensures utilities will continue to run the current commercial interruptible load programs. Given both reliability issues and high prices from the data center boom, all Ohio utilities face new challenges. As Representative Klopfenstein and Chair Holmes have both noted, we need to address the problem by lowering demand and increasing supply. While it generally takes 5 to 6 years to build a new gas plant, we can implement demand response programs in approximately a year. Generally speaking, utilities around the country run a few different types of demand response programs, but fundamentally, they all work to reduce demand at peak times. When PJM is challenged to meet customer demand at peak times, the utility contracts with customers to roll back their usage in return for cash payments. For industrial customers, this may entail shutting down an industrial motor or slowing a manufacturing process. For residential and small commercial customers, by far the greatest percentage of usage is air conditioning, and customers can also agree to roll back their hot water heating. Residential and demand response programs allow the utilities to control customers' smart thermostats by 1 to 3 degrees on days when Ohio potentially faces shortages or other stress on the grid. The program essentially works as follows. The utilities offer customers a payment for the summer. In HB 427, it would be up to the utility to design the payment, but generally it would be about $40 for the summer. Customers voluntarily sign up for this program. Utilities can call up to a set number of events per summer, usually a max of 10, but most summers the utilities call very few and sometimes no events. The events last for 1 to 4 hours, and the customers can override the utility's adjustment if they need to do so. Contrary to what we heard earlier today, the evidence shows that customers rarely do override these events. Having the ability to call the events allows the utility to bid that amount of demand it can control into PJM, and PJM takes that into consideration when determining the region's electricity needs and capacity prices. Most importantly, not only do the participating customers save, but all customers benefit from both grid reliability and benefit from utilities and CREST providers needing less expensive power at peak times, which is an answer to one of Representative Peterson's questions earlier. So not only can you bid this into PJM, but also when you have tens or hundreds of thousands of customers using less electricity at peak times, it means that the utilities and the CREST providers are buying less of the very expensive power that they need to buy at peak. As part of the ESP case settlement, AEP is currently running a new demand response program that started this April. It was approved by the PUCO, and that PUCO filing describes the program as follows. Residential customers enrolled in the demand response program agree to permit AEP Ohio to call events on their thermostat to reduce in winter and increase in summer the temperature of their home by no more than 3 degrees for no more than 4 hours during times of peak usage determined by AEP. AEP Ohio has the ability to call demand response events to implement a PJM directive to protect its distribution system, to limit or avoid distribution outages, to reduce load on localized constrained distribution circuits, and to reduce the coincident peak demand of the distribution network. This summer, with AEP doing virtually no marketing, relying almost exclusively on marketing by Nest, the company has over 20,000 customers signed up for the program. As we all know, it was a very hot summer, and AEP called several events. The problem is that AEP runs this program as part of its last ESP case, and with the ESP law going away with HB 15, we need the General Assembly to clarify its intent for utilities to run these programs. In the final analysis, while building a new gas-fired power plant will take approximately 5 to 6 years, utilities can implement demand response programs quickly and produce results in just a few months. Just from the residential and small commercial programs, Ohio utilities should be able to deliver about 400 megawatts of savings, which is the equivalent of a mid-sized power plant. Under current PJM prices, that would save Ohio ratepayers almost $40 million. Recent results from Michigan show that their residential DR programs saved 400 megawatts last year, as we project for Ohio.
You know what this means, right?
John, do you have any comments about this?
Yeah, I do. Number one, I'm sure it flew over a lot of your heads. You used the word interruptible.
No, we got
Interruptible distribution. Right now, we have a system that's uninterruptible.
Right.
That means if the power goes out, they have fail-safes in place that'll kick in to make sure that your power still works. He's talking about interruptible. They're talking about building in mechanisms that are going to be able to interrupt your power supply whenever they want to.
Right.
That's what it
With the
meant.
smart meter.
Now, he had on something right there at the end where they're talking about, oh, it would take 5 or 6 months to build a mini power plant. If it takes these data centers, it takes years to build one of these things. They don't pop up overnight. They're massive. I looked at a couple of proposals. These things are massive. So if it takes these guys 2 or 3 years to build one of these, why can't they build a substation right there that powers up their own data center? Why do they got to take power from us? Why do they got to monitor your thermostat plus or minus 3 degrees?
See, because they need the power, and they're taking it from us.
They don't need it, though. They can build their own power supplies.
Right.
That's what it is. They're taking from us, so they don't have to do that.
Right.
Michael, their money.
Michael.
A huge part of the problem, I worked in the industry for 40 years, and I've seen this demand response, and it's nothing more than smoke and mirrors to make up for the fact that with rare exception, okay, we built a bunch of gas power plants, and those are on-demand plants. As they need them, they turn them on and they turn them off. They're cheap to build, a little more expensive to run. But we have not built in this country any baseline generation plants like Perry out here. The last one that I know of that was started was in 1978. All right, Perry went online in 88. So if I remember right, an 11,000 megawatt unit. We're not building them here. We haven't built them in 3-4 decades, 5 decades almost. So all they're doing now is they're just playing whack-a-mole with energy, and it's a joke. Okay, I saw the blackout of 2003. The only reason we got the lights back on within 24 hours was because of East Lake, of Avon, of Lakeshore, of Ashtabula. Guess what? They're not there anymore. Samus is gone. Samus was a 13,000 megawatt power plant. All this green bullshit that they've been shoving down our throat for the last 20 years, we decommissioned and destroyed just about every coal-fired plant. That is the cheapest, most reliable, and they made them clean. And we're not building them anymore, and we have enough coal for 200 to 300 years. So this is a joke. I mean, I've watched this. I was part of it when I worked there.
Well, you made a good point, and what we're talking about is supply and demand.
On top
The
of that,
demand keeps growing, but the supply's not growing. It's what happened. We're seeing it in our bill.
well, the interconnection is also being asked to do what it was never originally designed to do.
Our
Right, it
bills
was
keep
built
going
in the
up when all they got to
50s,
do is pop out a few more of these power plants.
Yeah.
You say new plants, but the problem is that they're not allowed to.
I've been checking, I've been going into the smart meters. Besides touching more on to what John had said, there's more danger behind the smart meters than just the RF radiation it's given off. Basically, that's all about control. Okay?
Yeah.
Even though we as residents can opt out of the smart meter, businesses cannot. So if you're any business, they're going to slap a smart meter on. Just like he said, okay, they can turn off your motors when you're producing something, shut down your production, and they're going to do it. Right now, they say you can opt in. You have to put these devices. They're transmitters and receivers, so they can shut off your compressor every 10 minutes on your air conditioning, so that every 30 minutes they're going to shut off for 10 minutes. But what they're going to do with the smart meters, because not everyone's going to opt into that, and then what's going to happen? See, they're going to allow these data centers in. That's another problem I'm finding. They're allowing these data centers to give them tax abatements to bring them in, so we're getting hammered on the property tax side, and that's why this goes into the property tax part, because all these abatements they're given, it costs all of us the money then. Because, again, let me give you an example. Jefferson Township. There was farmland. They had it valued 10 years ago at $300,000. They kept jacking it up. This past year, it went from $600,000 to $1 million, okay? Which is way overvalued for the farmer that had the land. Amazon came in last year, bought it for $60 million. Paid 60 times the overinflated assessed value. Now, what's going on here. You give those guys that kind of money, the farmers, you know what they're going to do with it, right? Yeah. So this is what's happening here. And then again, we're giving them tax abatements, not on the $60 million they purchased at. They're getting a 75% tax abatement on the $1 million what the land was originally valued at. And they build these plants, all that's tax-free because they're not paying tax on the buildings.
Right.
It's only on the land itself. Wow. On top of it, in House Bill 96, there's $1.1 billion of tax credits, LLC credits for those corporations. They come in as an LLC, they get those income tax credits. On top of it, in House Bill 96, there's sales tax exemptions. Okay? All those data centers, all the equipment, backup generators, everything they got in there, sales tax free, like they're a nonprofit. Why? That costs our state billions of dollars. Okay? And on top of it now, they're getting bulk energy rates because they get the energy. And the problem is, see, they tap into our base load. You know, what they're doing with this is all temporary. This is only to protect, the reserve so that we don't overload. But it doesn't add anything to the base load. I went to our representative. I told him, I said, this is a joke. This is not going to work. This is just a Band-Aid. I said, you want true energy savings? How about everyone that has air conditioners, heat pumps, old refrigerators, freezers, replace them with new, more efficient appliances. They're 50 to 75% more efficient. And that actually, every kilowatt saved is an added kilowatt to the base load. Now, the problem with what they're doing is, they want this going in because as the data centers come in, they're going to go tap into our base load. That's 24/7, 365. There is no let up on that. And what I'm finding out now, besides the data centers, there's also now crypto mining of Bitcoin. These centers now, they're really energy intensive. Those suck even more juice than the data centers because they're processing continually mining Bitcoin. Okay, so there's another problem we have. And again,
in there. They need to be cool. They're hot.
They're very hot, and they need to be cool. So again, you need chillers, okay? Because you need either fresh source of water, which they don't have enough water, so you have to recirculate. The water also has to be purified. It has to be cleaner than drinking water to go through the systems. So I mean, all these things need, again, electricity. So I'm proposing now, I'm telling the legislators, look, before you allow another data center in, you have to let them sign an agreement to replace kilowatt for kilowatt on our baseload that they're going to be consuming. Because again, unless we have some kind of agreement, they're not going to do it. And then again, they say, well, it takes 3 to 5 years to build these. And then it goes from 5 to 6. Well, it started out, like I said, it starts out small and then they keep growing the numbers, if you notice. Just like the House bill that they're trying to do where they want to eliminate the 20 mil floor. Oh, that's $2.2 billion in savings now, right? It started at 1.8. They keep adding up, okay? And the thing is that we're being coerced into this, and again, we don't have an option. And what happens is like they say, well, who's going to cut off your power? Okay, AI is. It's an algorithm that's going to basically self-preserve itself. And it's the data center is AI, when we think about it. So we're going to give this AI power, and it's not a human being. It has no emotions, no conscience, no soul. And it's not going to differentiate. It's not here who is who. It's going to say, we need power. And they're using the excuse, well, we have to keep the hospitals going, so we need to preserve power for the hospitals. But it's not the hospitals. Matter of fact, the hospitals use a lot less than these data centers because they're not using it 24/7, 365. You know, it's variable with them too. So this is another thing that we're looking into and, you know, trying to talk to our legislators. And like I said, you got to follow the money. And then the other problem we're finding out is they're being, with the lobbyists, basically they're being bought and paid for, you know, and that's the problem. I mean, they're not going to do anything for us. Just like the House Bill 96, there's $4 billion of tax cuts and credits for their donor base. Now, that $4 billion right there, we need $13 billion is collected in property tax for the schools in Ohio. Out of that, $8.5 billion is from residences and farms. The other $4.5 is from commercial businesses. Now, in their budget, there's $4 billion. If they would have just taken that, instead of giving those tax credits and cuts, and would have taken and just paid the schools with that $4 billion would have saved everybody in Ohio 1/3 of their tax bill. Because 2/3 goes to the school. Right. So if you cut that 2/3 in half, 8 divided in half is $4 billion. You pay that off, guess what? That's 1/3 of everybody's property tax bill paid for. And guess what? You don't have to raise income tax. You don't have to raise sales tax. Nothing. All you got to do is not give their donor base those tax credits. We don't see any of that. None of us will ever see it. Just like the 2.75% flat tax they put on there. None of us are going to benefit. Only those making over $250,000. And the other problem is that's why we have a Social Security problem, and that's why we have a problem with Medicare. Because again, all those, there's a cutoff on payroll taxes at $150,000. So why are they not paying their share? All the burden falls on all those working class making under $150,000. That's wrong. And that's why we have a problem. And nobody's saying anything. No one's doing anything about it. And honestly, all our legislators, I've been watching these things, okay? These guys are clueless. And they don't even know how to ask the right questions. That's the other problem. So that's what we're up with.
So I have a question.
Sheila, go ahead.
Here's the question. How, if these bozos get what they're proposing, how will that then, they regulate the electricity? The people who have generators, how is that affected? So say, you know, are they going to control the Generac too? If the Generac goes on in the home?
Well, it's natural gas.
Gas and electricity historically are tied together.
Yes.
They're almost one and the same in that the creation of FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, was started because of both industries. And if you really run into a problem with all the reliance on natural gas now for electric generation, well, guess what? If you have a problem, you know, whenever we would turn on our gas turbine for peak load, we would have to call East Ohio Gas way back when, Dominion later on, and tell them, hey, we're turning this on and we're going to draw off your system. Well, if everybody starts doing that, if there's a real emergency, you have a problem. You know, the two are, you know, your Generac is only as good as the infrastructure of, you know, so it's, you know, it's backup for when we have a storm like we've had the last few years. But if you have a national disaster,
forget it.
Forget it.
We have one more. We have one more experience here that's gone through the smart meters. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to share this with everybody. So I kind of, there's a lot of parts that I've not put in here because I want to just condense it for you. But
this is Sheila, by the way. I'm Sheila.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila. After our last meeting, I went home and discovered that we have a smart meter on our home. After 5 phone calls and 4.5 hours of being placed on hold, I was able to have a work order written to have the smart meter removed from my home. During the course of this process, it was recommended that I file an informal complaint with the Public Utility Commission. I did file that complaint, and during that process, and speaking to 5 different people, I was told that my home was one of 35,000 homes located within a certain geographical area that not only had a smart meter put on their home, but also were made part of a study that involved in-home technology and offered a peak time rebate program. Obviously, I had no knowledge of any of this, and I demanded that the Public Utility Commission show me the documents that I signed giving permission to have a smart meter put on my home and be part of a study. The Public Utility Commission later contacted me and stated that I've never signed up for any of this, and they have no documentation that I signed. Still speaking to the supervisor at the Public Utility Commission, I used the CVS drugstore analogy. CVS owns the drugs in their store. When a patient comes in to pick up their prescription, they're asked if they have any questions about the drug. Also, a disclosure is attached to that package that lists any and all possible side effects that may occur due to the use of that drug. If there are no questions, the patient is asked to sign that they are relinquishing the responsibility that CVS has, and the patient then assumes the risk. One contract supersedes the other. Finally, the Public Utility Commission supervisor admitted that there is an ongoing debate between the Public Utility Commission attorneys and doctors about the possible health risks of smart meters. I never had that CVS opportunity regarding the smart meter and being involved in a study. I was unknowingly made a part of this non-contractual agreement. The supervisor then told me that the next step is to file a formal complaint with the Public Utility Commission. Paperwork. Hello. Paperwork was sent to my home. I was told to fill it out, send it in, and a date will be set for me to plead my case in Columbus, Ohio, before a magistrate. So I'm all gung-ho to do this, and then I look into John's suggestion about the organization called Empower. Everybody here needs to do that. So my strategy has changed since I actually joined Empower. So with the help of Empower, my plan is as follows. And again, this is my plan. I will be sending out 4 notices of liability to 4 different respondents that I will be holding liable. And here's my liability terms for them. 1, unlawful trespassing. 2, non-consensual manipulation of the internal environment within my home that has medically documented evidence to cause health risks for people and animals. 3, violation of my personal space and personal information. And 4, reimbursement for the charge to have my smart meter removed and elimination of a monthly penalty for not having a smart meter. I will be sending out my contract telling the illuminating company that they will be receiving a monthly bill to pay me $28.29 a month. So just to kind of put this in perspective, so some of you are part of this 35,000 people who've had a smart meter put on your home. I had no idea. Are part of this study. What study? What's it about? What's the results? Why do we know about any of this? So if everybody opted out of that 35,000, so to get it off your house, it's $41.72 times 35,000. That's $1,462,000 that they're getting. And I have to pay $28.29 a month times 35,000 people or homes. That's another $150,000. You multiply that by 12. Wow. Okay, we're way up to like over $11 million. That's crazy. Yeah, so that's where I'm at in the process. But that group really sheds perspective on how you are to do this. Because everything has a contract. I don't care what it is. Everything is a contract. And you have to play the game. And you have to turn around on that. Because once a contract is established, they have to respond to that contract. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And where did you learn all about this?
Empower.org, or what's the website?
It is Empower.com, I think.
Yeah, it's on the handout back there. I've got it on there. And you're going to start hearing a lot more of this term too, merchant law.
Yes.
Now, I just learned that term not long, maybe about 6 months ago, and I had to do the research to find out what that was.
Right.
And it's legal currency.
Correct.
And I just heard somebody, a representative in Congress, I was watching something they were doing in Congress the other day, and he used that term. And they started talking about merchant law.
Yes.
So if we're returning to merchant law, if they've been using merchant law, we don't even know about it. So that's another thing we're going to have to start looking into.
Yeah.
When you have public officials in Congress mentioning merchant law, and how many people ever heard merchant law?
No.
But it's legal. It's legal tender. Merchant law is legal tender. I didn't know anything about it until I joined the Empower movement. I think that's why I learned about it. Through Empower, they started talking about merchant law. And I'm like, what is that? But it's been around forever.
It has been since basically the beginning of time.
It's a form of currency. It's a contract. If I hand you a contract, it's a legal binding contract. You got to pay me now.
Give a big round of hand for Sheila. That was great. Get up here. And she first learned all about this where? Lake County Liberty Coalition. Remember that? Power, please. Okay, power right here. The power is right here. Now, John's going to be here. John, yours going to be here. Sheila, you're still going to be here. I know there's many more questions, so please stay. But we have to cover this one thing about property taxes. You know, our initiative's going well. We're getting petitions signed. It was very brave for Mike Zuren to come here today. Really, it was. I'm surprised we didn't just shut him up. But he did his job as a public official. He did. He came here. He spoke to us, and he gave us some brutal truths. Brian Massey, our president, is going to give us an update on everything and what happened yesterday.
So before I get into the property tax, I'll give you some numbers. Treasurer Zuren mentioned about the giving back money to the citizens. That was 5 years ago when we took a look at the fund balances for the county. And we found two accounts. As I said before, no computer algorithm, just going down an account and say, what is this? And there was one account for $700,000, the other for $5.3 million. They were on the books for over 30 years. The 5.3 was overpaid property taxes. I went to the treasurer's office and I said, well, why don't we give this back? And I said, he brought out a big computer listing. The thing was about a foot thick. And I said, well, if that's the records, why don't we give them back? He said, well, we don't have the staff to give them back.
Come on.
So Commissioner Pleshnik, when Treasurer Zuren was elected, mentioned this $5.3 million, and Treasurer Zuren, to his credit, he did spend the time, and I think it was over $1 million. There was $3.9 million left that Treasurer Zuren could not determine who that money belongs to. It goes back 30 years. So we got Republicans and Democrats in the commissioner's office that didn't care enough about the citizens to look. Now, what I'm also finding is, we better start electing people that have the financial acumen to look at numbers and determine what the numbers really mean. So keep that in mind when we're voting for people. So the $3.9 million, you know where it went? General fund. Okay, here's another number. $1.8 million. And that $1.8 million during the last sexennial revaluation, that was $1.8 million that was sucked out because of the inside millage. We all paid that to the county. It went into the county's general fund. I spoke to the commissioners. I said, you don't need that money. Give it back to the people. No, we need it, Brian. So it's $3.9 million went into the general fund. $1.8 million went into the general fund without really. So, we've got some of these, politicians are saying that they're looking out for us. I don't believe. More than I pull back the curtain, I'm saying this is really insane what we've got going here. Here's another number. $466,000. I don't know a lot of the details yet because it is. I tried a public records request with Dave Hackman, who's the assistant prosecutor. He said, Brian, I can't really give you these because this is now under. It's a corruption. It's law enforcement are now involved. What happened was the Lake County Council on Aging gets paid by the auditor of the county. The auditor's office and the Council on Aging office was hacked. There was $466,000 that was supposed to go to the Council on Aging, went to another account. What happened was that a hacker convinced somebody, and they don't know who, or they're not saying who, somebody at the auditor's office well, instead of sending it to the Council on Aging, send it to this account. And they told me the name of the account. It's sort of weird, and the name, it doesn't even, so the auditor's office wasn't inquisitive enough to say, is this right? So they sent it, and they can't get it back. So there is now, that's $466,000, and what I'm being told is that the insurance companies are not going to cough up the 466. So that's coming out of our general fund.
Wow.
So I will, we're going to continue to look for that, and we will get the truth out. Now, it may be 6 months, but my sense tells me this may be about a year before we ever get this, because that's what they do. That's they put it, on the shelf, thinking that the people are going to forget it. I promise you, we won't forget it.
You want to preempt this video?
Yeah. Yes. Now the video here was came yesterday. Willoughby Hills, the county commissioners, Beveridge and Regovich. Plechnik had another commitment and couldn't make it to the meeting, but they held a meeting with all of the taxing entities in Lake County. There were mayors, managers, superintendents. There were a lot, about 100 people or so were there. And in trying to understand what they were doing is Regovich and Beveridge said that we should give some money back to seniors based on this homestead exemption, sort of doubling up on the homestead exemption. It sounded good, but what he was saying is, but we think the municipality should pay for it, not the county. All the county had to do was, if they want to give money back, they say, well, we're going to suspend the inside millage, and that would produce. Now, again, it's not going to change our lives drastically, but I just thought it was interesting that the commissioners would say, we're going to give money back to the people, but the communities are going to pay for it. When the first speaker that came up was Senator Jerry Serino. Jerry Serino and I have got a bit of a history, goes back a few years. He's not sending me Christmas cards, so. But I recorded. I had my little camcorder there, and I recorded Sir Jerry talking to the mayors and managers, and I then. It was about a 6.5 minute video, and I didn't want to bore you with 6.5 minutes, so I edited it to about 1.5 minutes. And when I thought about it, I said, well, Jerry is now, I think he's declared war on we the people.
Yes.
And let's run, can we run the video?
Great to be with you, Mayor. Thanks for hosting. And I parked on the grass, so if you can make sure I don't get a ticket, I would appreciate that. I think it's great that you can all gather. I know you pulled together a lot of information that the commissioners have asked you to over the last couple of weeks. As you can imagine, property tax issues are the number one issues that we're dealing with in Columbus. I'm sure you'll know more about some of the specific activities that the House did last week. But I do want to share a couple of thoughts with you, because the two bills, 186 and 335, that the House passed last week are now arriving in the Senate today, and we will be starting our hearings on those bills tomorrow. I'm hopeful that, I don't know what the shakeout will be, because there's lots of elements in both bills that are going to impact property taxes. There have been some pretty broad estimates of what they would save, all the way up to $2 billion to taxpayers. We'll see how the elements of the final bills that we end up passing and agreeing to in conference with the House, how they actually shake out. But I'm hopeful that we will see some serious action on these bills, in addition to executing what we already passed in the budget back at the end of June, like Thanksgiving. That would be that's my personal objective, and the objective of many of my colleagues in the Senate. And so you'll have some healthy discussion today. I have to leave, unfortunately, to go to another meeting, but I'm going to be looking at the archive of this event to make sure I hear everybody's input and all the questions. But there's one message that I want to share with everybody here, and it's been written about a lot and talked about a lot, and that is the petition that's floating around to eliminate property taxes or to declare them unconstitutional. Very few things have happened in the state that have been as dangerous as that.
Dangerous.
I talk to people all the time. I go around to groups and I talk about that. Everybody's angry and frustrated about property taxes and increasing values. I get that. We're all taxpayers. We've all seen increases depending the amounts depend on where we happen to live. But replacing $22 billion a year in property taxes, that's the amount that we collect in the state. The state we don't levy any property taxes. In fact, we pay part of the property taxes for everybody in this room and everybody in our county through a couple of different mechanisms. But just to declare that it is unconstitutional to collect property taxes is irresponsible.
He's irresponsible.
If you look at your tax receipts from July that we all just paid, or we paid for you through your mortgage company, take a look at all the institutions, all the groups that are levying the value of our property. Okay? It's not just the schools that's the largest percentage for virtually every community. But we're talking about police levies, we're talking about libraries, senior citizens levies, in some cases, Lakeland Community College. Okay? The funding for those would all go away. All go away and be replaced by what? A substantial increase in sales tax, a substantial increase in income tax rates in this state. It would be a massive shell game of taxing, giving you relief on property taxes only to tax you in several other areas. It's not tenable, it doesn't work, and I think it's an irresponsible proposal that they are floating around. And they're trying to trade on people's frustrations with property taxes. And I share those frustrations, and I hear them from everywhere around the county. But this coming up with a solution such as that is not really a solution. It would affect everybody in this room and lots of others. Nonprofit organizations, service organizations all around the county, certainly all around the state. So I would certainly beg all of you to give that no weight at all. Give it no support. In fact, tell 100 people that you know that it would be ridiculous to support that. If it gets on the ballot, we're going to all have to work together to defeat it. And we'll see some strange bedfellows. The Ohio Education Association will actually be there with me. And they're usually not. But we all have something to lose. And our citizenry has a lot to lose if that irresponsible proposal were to get on the ballot and to, God forbid, actually be adopted on the ballot. It would cause major disarray for the state and for our Lake County community. So I would ask that you pay attention to the two House bills. I assume that...
I think that's enough, John.
Yeah.
I can't take it. I just can't. I'm sorry.
And he's your friend?
That's nauseating.
Where do I start with this? I honestly thought really that Jerry was a conservative, and I thought he was a capitalist, but there was no mention at all of doing anything to reduce spending of government. Mm-hmm. And what I've said and what I have seen and experienced is that the public sector has outgrown the private sector's ability to pay for services. Mm-hmm. When people say, two questions that I get. Brian, how are we going to fund the schools? How are you going to replace it dollar for dollar on the schools? And I'm saying we're not. We're just not. Even Auditor Galloway said that 611 school districts, with the administrative costs that continue to rise, we could do it with 94 school districts, one per county, and then for the larger counties with the more kids, we'd have additional school districts there. So that would mean in Lake County you'd have 9 school districts. That's not just Brian Massey saying that. That's our Lake County auditor saying that. And there are other auditors throughout the state saying that. As far as police, fire, roads, and bridges, we say, I'm not an anarchist. I am going to pay for my services. But what does the valuation of my home, what does that have to do with me paying for the police protection? I don't understand. Why would I pay more or less than my neighbor that have a house value more or less than mine? That doesn't make sense to me. Also, I do not believe that the role of government should be in property valuations. I don't know why they're in the property valuation business. In Lake County, we paid $1.8 million to a third-party appraiser. Now, you multiply that times 88 counties, you've got a lot of money. That's every 6 years, every 3 years. It's really every 6 years on the sexennial for the appraisals. And then you really don't need an auditor and a treasurer. So without the property taxes, you're going to have an automatic Doge of our government. And that's really what we need in the state of Ohio. We are continuing. John's doing a great job. All of the videos and everything, he's learning about what we see happening, throughout the state. And with Leonard Gilbert and Vesna, we are traveling the state. We're on a lot of radio programs. We're on Bob France today, and we're going to keep doing that. The other question, again, politicians have to understand home ownership is the foundation of our freedom and liberty. If you do not own private property, what are you? You're a serf to the government. You rent from the government. Article 1 of the Ohio Constitution talks about, protecting property. And all of these politicians swear an oath to follow that Constitution. Article 6, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution says that the state is responsible for funding the schools. But what they have done over the years, they've done a very masterful job of reducing their contributions to the state so that it gets pushed to the local, and the schools have to continue to go back to the people. And the people say, Brian, you have got to vote for all these school levies. You've got to do it for the children. And I said, well, have you seen the proficiency scores on these schools?
Right. Exactly.
How about a third of the kids, third and fourth grade reading level are proficient?
Right.
In middle school, 50% aren't proficient in math. So why would we continue a system that produces those kinds of results? It doesn't make sense.
Teachers union.
Yeah, absolutely. But let me call out Jerry Serino again one more time. And he told me directly, with my wife there when we went to a fundraiser, he said, Brian, if seniors can't afford their property taxes,
sell their house.
They should sell their house and move into an apartment.
Oh my God.
Exactly right, what they want. But one last thing. I always get the question, I've had attorneys say to me, Brian, I can get some donations for you. And we said, boy, that would be great. We get some donations. But Brian, you got to tell me how many signatures you have. That's the first thing they say. Isn't that interesting? Why? What does that have to do? I want to tell you what we're at. This is what I said on the radio program because it dawned on me. We are at war.
Yeah.
Oh,
We are at war to save our freedom and liberty, not only for this generation, but for future generations.
Yes.
And I am not willing to step aside and let these politicians do it to us. And I've told everybody I will stand on the front lines for you. Because what I'm also being told is that, Brian, with $22 billion, you better watch your back. You better start carrying a weapon. They also said, Brian, don't let anybody know where you're processing these petitions.
Right.
So don't do it in your house. They'll firebomb your house. What kind of society are we in when we, the people, cannot stand up for our rights for home ownership? There's something wrong. And you know what it is? I've said this before and I'll say it again. We're an ungodly, uneducated, immoral society with churches that are no longer preaching the revealed Word of God.
Right.
Yes.
So, to reiterate on when you said about the test scores, the schools basically, and I can tell you again as a Wickliffe resident, the Wickliffe City School proficiency exams, especially for reading and mathematics, grades 3 through 8th or 9th grade, are in the toilet. Wow. Their score, they're still at a 3-star. We only have a little over 1,200, if that, in that one big prison on the hill that they bilked us out of $60 million bond levy to build that. Their 1-star readiness for military workforce. So they also, and this came from the school superintendent because I had a private meeting with him. I said, these kids, I said, if they don't pass all or parts of this test in order to graduate, they come graduation day, they can participate in commencement, but they'll receive an empty folder because then you have to return back to keep retaking this. These tests were not designed for children. They were designed for the administrators and the school boards. Here is what the school superintendent told me. He said, well, we've made it easier. And this is why Wickliffe says 98, 99 percentile graduation rate in June in order for them to pass. So there's certain tests now that are much easier. So all the state of Ohio did was lower the standards. Yeah. The state of Ohio used to be called the state board, Ohio State Board of Education, and if you pay attention, they recently, I don't know how many years ago it's been, /workforce. That's coming back into the scene, which falls under Goals 2000 under the Bush administration. And let's not forget that our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews are being dumbed down deliberately.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, they have. Thank you so much, Cheryl. One last thing. If you hear anyone say that the Committee to Abolish Property Taxes has, if they mention any number as far as signatures, do not believe them.
Right.
There is only one person in the state of Ohio that knows how many signatures they have.
That's you.
John doesn't know, Leonard doesn't know, Keith Davies doesn't know, Elaine Cross doesn't know. And why am I doing that? We're on war footing, and you never tell the enemy.
That's
intel.
right. Woo! Yeah, that's right.
They didn't know what they're talking about.
So we need to tell them.
Oh, I did reach out to that news reporter, and of course they don't return calls. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about the petition. I had sent an email to that, to get the link for the petitions or something, whatever it was, and somebody emailed back saying that you had different petitions that were going around, and they want them to all be the same. So they're like, if you have the ones from Brian Massey, turn them in. We want them to all be one kind.
Okay, there's a group called Citizens for Property Tax Reform. Okay?
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you directly.
If you go to Axe Ohio Tax, that is they have, and John Morrow did a great job in coming up with all the petitions. And if you go on there and you print out those petitions, those are the latest petitions. We've had probably half a dozen versions of the petition for a variety of reasons. They will all still be good, but we wanted to have commonality, and people want certainty. So that's we said you can follow that. Yes, young man.
So, I've heard some statistics, and apparently, every 45 seconds, a person is becoming a millionaire. I think those people are those corrupt people in the government. Those people that are running it. They say every 45 seconds, a person becomes a millionaire. And
I've never heard of that statistic, but I wouldn't doubt that at all.
And they said back in the 1960s, when they were changing the railroads from steam engines to diesels, we were losing $6 billion every year when they changed it to diesels because steam trains did a better job. And I think it saves money. That's the model. And they have all that electric stuff, and it's not working.
Well,
Can you speak for us next time as a speaker? Can you speak for us next time?
Yeah.
You sound very, I think I'd like to hear more from you.
You. Thank you so much.
Next month, you're out. Very good. No, really, very good.
Okay, we'll tell you later. Okay.
Brian?
Yes.
Those of us in the back could not hear those words he spoke, and it sounded pretty important to me.
You're saying that there's how many seconds every 45 seconds there's something the politicians become millionaires.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't doubt that when you pull back the curtain on how these people, they know insider trading. There's so many ways that they're getting. And that's why they're politicians. And this whole donor class, that even at the state level, what we see, Jerry Serino got $15,000 on this whole Haslam deal. He got it from the. So what John Maher does a great job of tracking that, and we're going to put those online too, so that everybody sees it.
Everybody in the world. Amen.
Anna, and then we'll wrap up. Then you can stay. Y'all can stay last question.
That young boy, he also said in 1960 they switched from steam to diesel trains, and what was the result of that? I didn't catch it.
We lost $8 billion.
We lost $8 billion.
Yes.
When steam was more efficient.
Yes. They said one average steam locomotive could pull what?
Oh. Is he home? Are you homeschooled? Because you're very.
I'm private school.
That's great. That's the same thing. We'll take
Well,
that.
look out in California with that. They're building that train.
Yeah,
go anywhere.
Did it ever get a rail? I mean, just billions of dollars. Boondoggle after boondoggle.
So does that mean we should switch to steam because it's more powerful and it saves on the energy grid? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically.
Any other questions? Thank you so much for coming. Yes.
It's not a question, but there's an interesting documentary. It's called The Lost Century. I would recommend watching it, but it kind of talks a little bit about your point. There's a lot of people like Tesla, for example. I can't think of any other name, but have been murdered because they've come up with energy solutions that basically give people free energy. And it's really good. It's about an hour and a half long. It's called The Lost Century.
The Lost Century.
Mr. Fidenza was handing out a book about they are now. Was it Bill Gates said that
today he admitted what this guy wrote, and I passed around everybody, and I'll give one to the smart kid. That 20-year-old book. He's a scientist from Denmark. He says, maybe there's a little bit of climate change, but in order to get the green thing done, you will kill half of the poorest people on the planet. Right. Yeah. Bill Gates said that today.
Yeah. Yes.
He's dropping out of it.
So there's been scams, and unfortunately, we don't have a media anymore that we can trust, unfortunately. Yes, ma'am.
One last thing.
Where do you get that book?
I don't know if you read the article or not, but California's been
I would like to
scamming
read
the
that
federal
book.
They, where they get money from the federal government, they've been getting it twice by doing other organizations.
Well, look what they did with USA when Trump shut down USA. Billions of dollars.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, I do.
tell us
And then I have
well,
one more next time.
it was discussed earlier, not so much by you.
by Sheila.
Bill
The
Gates.
exact name and spelling of that.
He's in trouble. Him and his wife.
It's on the
came
paper
out
back there?
with that
I did
too.
not see it.
Okay, Sheila, you want to get together with her? Sure. Yeah, because I'd like everybody, you could stay, please. Interact, talk, let's help each other. There was so much to be said tonight. I mean, wow.
Thank you so much, Randy. It was great. Great job. Appreciate it.
What a hero, huh? Talk about a patriot.
It was all bull crap. The whole green.
Gotta walk around looking over your shoulder.
Maybe not.
All right, let us stand for prayer, please.